Hey, welcome. You ever have one of those brilliant ideas, maybe a side hustle or a big project, and you just wonder, is this really worth it? Well, today, we're going to crack open the exact toolkit that engineers and big time firms use to make super smart financial calls. This is all about giving you a practical way to turn any great idea you have into an absolute winner. So here's the classic situation, right? You've got one pool of money, but a ton of really good ideas. So, how do you pick the winner? The one that's going to give you the most bang for your buck? I mean, do you just go with your gut? Flip a coin? Nah, there's got to be a smarter way. And there is. So let's get into it. This isn't just a problem for you and me. Big organizations, I'm talking billion-dollar companies, they face this every single day. They've got a set budget and a whole portfolio of projects all screaming for a piece of it. They absolutely cannot afford to just guess. They need a system, something driven by data to figure out which ideas are just good and which ones are truly great. And the method they use? It's actually beautifully simple. Just 3 steps. That's it. First, you set your standard. What does a good investment even look like to you? Second, you measure your project against that standard. And third, you make the decision. Yep, that's the whole framework. So let's walk through this toolkit together, step by step. Okay, so first up, setting that standard. Think about it, before you can even begin to evaluate a project, you have to have some kind of benchmark, right? A minimum bar that any idea has to clear just to be considered. In the world of finance, this has a name. It's called the minimum attractive rate of return, or as you'll hear me say a lot, MARR. So what exactly is MAR? Well, just like the name says, it's the absolute minimum rate of return that you find attractive. If a project can't even promise to deliver that much, it's just not worth your time, not worth your money. It's your personal, non-negotiable line in the sand for what counts as a success. I absolutely love this analogy. Think of MAR as a high jump bar. Seriously, imagine you're an Olympic athlete. The bar is set. It doesn't matter how cool your technique looks or how much flair you have. If you don't clear that bar, you're out. It's that simple. MAR is that exact bar for your investments. No exceptions. Okay, so that's the big question then, isn't it? How do you know where to set the bar? You don't just pull a number out of thin air. It's actually determined by this really powerful idea called opportunity cost. And all that means is it's the value of the very next best thing you had to give up to do this project. All right, let's make this real. Imagine a company with a $60 million budget. They've got a list of projects, and they rank them by how much money they expect to make back. So they just start funding them from the top down until, whoops, the money's gone. Now look here. The very last project they could afford was Project E, which gives a 19% return. But look at what they had to say no to. Project F. And this is the key. By saying yes to Project E, the company had to give up that 16% return they would have gotten from Project F. That 16%, that's their opportunity cost. It's the return from the best project they had to walk away from. And just like that, the bar is set. Their MARR is now 16%. Any new idea that comes along, it's gotta beat that. Okay, so that brings us to our second tool. We've got our high jump bar set at 16%. Now, a brand new project comes across your desk. How do you actually measure it to see if it can clear that bar? Well, the first way is to figure out its total value in today's dollars. See, any project is really just a series of cash flows over time, right? Money goes out, hopefully money comes in. What the equivalent worth method does is it takes all those future profits and costs, all the ups and downs, and it collapses them down into one single number. It tells you exactly what that whole project is worth at one specific moment. And you can look at this value in a few different ways. You can look at its worth right now, today, that's present worth. Or you can look at its value way at the end of the project, that's future worth. Or even as an equivalent amount per year, which is annual worth. But here's the cool part. No matter which one you use, they all lead you to the same yes or no decision. So just to keep things simple, we're going to focus on the most common one, present worth. So present worth, or PW, it's actually pretty straightforward. You take all the money you think you're going to make in the future, and you use your MAR to discount it all back to what it's worth today. Then you just subtract what you had to pay to start the project. That final number, that's the project's net value, right here, right now. And from there, the decision rule is so simple. If the present worth is a positive number, it means the project is earning more than your MAR. It's creating value. It's beating your hurdle rate. That's a win.
So the bottom line couldn't be simpler. If the present worth is greater than zero, you accept. If it's less than zero, you reject. It's a really powerful test, and a positive number means, yep, it cleared the bar.
But what if thinking in dollars isn't your thing? Maybe you prefer percentages, or maybe you want a way to compare a little project with a massive one on a level playing field. Well, that brings us to our next tool, the internal rate of return, or IRR. The IRR asks a totally different question. It asks, what is the magical interest rate that would make this whole project break even? You know, the rate where the value of all the money coming in exactly equals the value of all the money going out. Basically, it's the project's true, built-in rate of return. Here's another great way to picture this. If your MAR is the speed limit you've set for your money, then the IRR is like the project's financial speedometer. It tells you exactly how fast this specific investment is generating returns, all by itself.
So the decision becomes a simple showdown. You look at the project's speedometer, its IRR, and you compare it to your speed limit, your MAR. If the IRR is higher, you're golden. The project is going faster than your minimum standard. You accept. And on the flip side, if the project's IRR is lower than your MAR, well, it's not clearing the bar. It's not meeting your minimum standard. So you reject it. It really is that straightforward. All right, so we've learned how to set our standard with MAR. We've learned how to measure our projects with present worth and IRR. Now, let's pull it all together into our final decision-making toolkit. Okay, so here's the cheat sheet. Present worth gives you that absolute dollar value. Is it positive? Great, you accept. IRR gives you a relative percentage. Is it higher than your MAR? You accept. Think of it this way. PW tells you if you're creating value and exactly how much in today's money. IRR tells you how efficient your investment is, which is awesome for comparing projects of totally different sizes. So let's just recap that three-step path to a smart investment one last time. Step 1, set your hurdle. Define your MAR by figuring out your opportunity cost. Step 2, measure the potential. Calculate either the present worth or the IRR. And step 3, compare and decide. Is the PW greater than zero? Is the IRR greater than MAR? It's a clear, repeatable process that takes all the guesswork out of it. You know, what we've really unpacked here isn't just a bunch of formulas. These are tools for thinking. They force you to be disciplined, to put numbers to your assumptions, and to be really honest about your other options. They help you go from just saying, hey, I think this is a good idea, to being able to say, I can prove this is a good investment. So the next time you have that spark, that next great idea, ask yourself, what is it really worth? Because now you have the tools to actually find out.